Hello everyone, this is Jay and I'm here to talk about group decision making, its advantages and the disadvantages. Group decision making, according to me, is a participatory process in which multiple individuals acting collectively analyze a particular problem or a situation. They try to measure the alternate course of action and select the best solution. A group can be anywhere between 2 to 10 individuals. The group can be demographically similar or quite diverse, but each of these factors affect the functioning of the group decision to a certain degree. The best example can be considered as the group which is presenting the topic now. We had a Skype call last Thursday. We discussed how effectively and efficiently we wanted to conduct this presentation. There's another example which I would like to suggest. It's a leadership meeting which happens in my office every Wednesday. All the department heads, we all interact with each other, and we try to be outspoken of what issues we faced, and we try to benchmark each other's ideas in helping ourselves to solve a particular issue. Some of the advantages of the group decision making is the amount of the information and the diversity of the views. Two heads are always better than one. An individual cannot have all the information sometimes required to choose the correct direction he's flowing through. So group is always helpful. The second advantage can be the greater acceptability. The views expressed by a group have more acceptance than a certain individual's direction or a solution to a problem. The third advantage can be expert opinions and the subject matter experts, because there would be some situation we face in our life in which we need help from a subject matter expert who can drive us through a right direction. The fourth advantage can be taken as it tries to minimize the resistance of certain individuals and helps them in participating into these group discussions. It helps to increase the degree of involvement. Certain individuals are also hesitant, so fifth advantage can be like it encourages people's participation. There are some disadvantages also with the group decision making. Can be considered as time consuming and expensive. It's always cumbersome to actually organize, plan and coordinate this group decision making, and it's a bigger factor in an organization, and it's also treated as expensive because you have all the money, energy and the man-hours. We are actually conducting the group decision in that time, which is always considered as an opportunity cost, because they see that there's something else which could have been done rather than conducting a group decision meeting. The other disadvantage can be individual domination. Some individuals always try to dominate, and that actually completely defeats the very purpose of having a group decision meeting. And the third disadvantage can be compromise the decisions. Some individuals try to compromise and accept a group decision of taking a particular direction. They do not take it wholeheartedly. Groupism is another disadvantage of the group decision making. Certain members of a group try to harbor a feeling that they are different from other individuals, and they do not accept in the direction what the others are growing. So to conclude, according to me, group decision is an excellent practice. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to present this topic, and I'll have my friend Igor who would be presenting the limits of decision making. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Igor Kleiner, and I'm going to be focusing on section 10.4b that has to do with limits of group decision making. And the chapter focuses on two different concepts. One is groupthink, and the second one is group polarization. Concept number one is groupthink, and that has to do when a group has poor judgment due to the pressures within the group, the internal pressures. And a couple of reasons why that might happen is sometimes when a group is very homogeneous, very much alike, they think alike, not much diversity, and they become insulated from outside opinions. A couple of other reasons include having to make highly consequential decisions and time constraints. What I found very interesting in this chapter was the example they used to talk about groupthink, and this had to do with NASA. So in 1986, Space Shuttle Challenger exploded and killed those seven crew members. And NASA had launched an investigation into this accident, and what they came up with was that the accident was due to flawed decision making. In 2003, Space Shuttle Columbia exploded over Texas, killing all seven crew members, and a natural investigation was launched into this. And what they found was that the decision-making process was nearly identical in 2003 to 1986, resulting in a tragedy. Now, what can we do to avoid the pitfalls of groupthink? One of the ways is to bring in outside experts. Another way is to make sure that the leader of the group avoids stating their opinion prior to the group having time to discuss the issue. Also encouraging group members to play devil's advocate and to re-examine various scenarios. The second concept that this subsection described had to do with group polarization. And basically that's when a group becomes more polarized as a result of group discussion. So individuals become more entrenched and polarized because of the group discussion. And that can also be dangerous. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I'm going to hand you off to Jerry. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jerry Lomba Huang from Group 1, and we're here to talk to you about Chapter 10. The topic that we picked is group decision making. We know that there are limitations to group decisions, so therefore, how do we make the most of it? There are actually 4 different techniques of how to do group decision making that I'm going to talk to you about. So the first one is brainstorming. Second one is nominal group technique. The third one is playing devil's advocate. And the second one is dialectical inquiries. So first one, brainstorming. What is brainstorming? We all know brainstorming is pretty much a whole group just come together and sit around the table and come up with ideas. However, do we know what's not good about this? It just, everybody tends to listen to other people's ideas. Nobody really focus on their own. So one of the methods that the book suggests that there's a thing called electronic brainstorming. Electronic means computer, so pretty much everybody just goes on computer, type in their own ideas. So as a group, you do generate a lot of ideas. However, the con for this method is that people don't really listen to what other people are suggesting. So how do we fix it? One way that we can do it is pretty much tell the group that the members for this decision-making group is everybody's really creative. So this way it will entice the members to actually listen to other people's ideas. So therefore, everybody will listen to each other instead of just focusing on their own. Now the second method I'm going to talk to you about is nominal group technique. And we all know this method. It may sound familiar. When professor has a chart on the board, pretty much start asking everybody in the class what their ideas are. And then professor writes down all the ideas, and everybody sees the idea that are written down so they don't repeat. And everybody go up and write up like a new idea until the whole chart is met, or until in workplace management is satisfied with the amount of decision that the group came up with. This is a pretty good method to make sure that there's no criticism that happens. People can ask to get clarification on the ideas, but that's it. Now, the third method is when you actually want to criticize people, which is playing devil's advocate. Everybody in the group's responsibility is to criticize the new idea that came up. This is a good method because it kind of prevents any pitfall or any mistake from happening, because the whole group came up with what's wrong with it already. What's bad is that a lot of ideas tend to get shut down because everybody have a lot of negative things to say about it. So therefore, it leads us to the fourth method, which is dialectical inquiry. This method kind of have two teams on each side. So kind of like what happened at my company last week when we have production and logistics coming together in a meeting. So production want to find out if there's a new way to get a new material, but logistic is saying that production is actually the one who's been breaking the material. So what's on the market already are whatever is there. So they came together to find out how can we make a better product with the material we have already. Do we change the procedure, or do we find a better raw material that make up this drug? So to prevent drug shortages, we don't want like a lose-win situation where one kind of save more than the other. We kind of want a whole group to come together to find out what the real problem is and find a solution. So in a dialectical inquiries, you kind of need a moderator to kind of pick out the good thing and the bad thing from each group, and then come together. So as a company as a whole, we can move further. All right, thanks everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Carson Seelinger, and I will be talking about the special decision-making groups such as quality circles, quality teams, and self-managed teams. Now, a top priority for any type of business is quality. One of the ways businesses ensure quality in their group decision-making is by forming what's called quality circles. Now, personally, the concept of quality circles was new to me, but it was made popular back in the 1970s when Toyota introduced it to their manufacturing. Now, what exactly is a quality circle? Quality circle is a small group of people, typically between 3 to 8 people, that will contribute about 2 or 3 hours per week to address things such as quality control or even cost reduction. Now, these individuals usually have very similar or maybe even the same type of job, so they can take their hands-on experience, true up their practices, and make recommendations to the managers so they can implement it for the whole group. Now, this is the key difference between a quality circle and a quality team. A quality team is actually empowered to act on their own recommendations by management. So a quality team is usually coming down from the leadership in the company. So it's top down into organizations, and they have the ability to go ahead and implement their own recommendations. Now, this setup is a little more common in Western type businesses, as many of you have probably interacted with some sort of quality manager or even a quality team in your workplace. Now, the last group we want to talk about is what's called a self-managed team. Decision-making for these groups are usually pretty broad, especially when it's compared to quality teams. These teams actually take on work that was probably once done by the managers, such as scheduling. Now, personally, I do have some experience with a self-managed team. Back when I was working in retail throughout college, the managers delegated the shift scheduling to a self-managed team, which honestly I thought was a little ambitious at first, but the results were great. People felt a little more in control of their schedule, and it seemed a little less like an assignment and gave us more freedom to adjust our schedules. Now, in this video, we've talked about advantages and disadvantages of group decision making, with Jay giving us examples of social decision schemes. Igor discussed the issues of groupthink and group polarization, and how groups can overcome those challenges, while Jerry gave us common practices that are used in group decision making, such as brainstorming and nominal group technique. And then we followed up with a talk on special decision making groups. Well, that concludes our discussion on group decision making. And on behalf of Jay, Igor, and Jerry, we want to thank you for taking the time to watch our video. Thank you.